than elves.
Well, Merriam has figured out a way to win the first game here. He's playing against Cody Shoemaker, who is playing miracles. Definitely an interesting matchup to be sure. There are some things that are very scary for Merriam to try to beat. Counterbalance Sensei's Divine Top certainly being one of them, and Dylan Click being another. But his Anti-Swarm in play right now does make things a little bit interesting as Merriam is resolving a Brainstorm.
I think this matchup is better for Storm than most people think. Yes, if they establish a quick Divine Top plus Counterbalance, you're in a lot of trouble, but they need to find it really quickly, and they have a ton of nonsense in their deck.
See Ross struggling to resolve a Brainstorm at this point. A lot to think about, of course, with Brainstorm. And the card he hasn't cast for some time, honestly. You think about it. He's been playing Elves for, what, about 2 years at this point? And that's not a Brainstorm deck.
Yeah, it's Elvish Visionary.
They're a little different.
Potato.
They're a little different. 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds now, Gataxian Probe being cast, and it looks like with Gataxian Probe on the stack, Merriam is going to break those Lion's Eye Diamonds, so he's going to lose a Grim Tutor and a Brainstorm, but he's going to have some mana floating, and then Probe will draw him a card. Now, keep in mind, it looks like all of Ross's spells are uncounterable because Xanted Swarm did attack already. You'll see Shoemaker's hand. He's got a Snapcaster Mage, a Ponder. It looks like a Vendilion Click, and an Island.
Shields are down.
Yeah.
Whatever Ross had on top of his deck should be good to go, and if he kept with Brainstorm here, you have to imagine he has a kill.
Well, he's got an Infernal Tutor off the top of the deck, and so now he's going to go hunting. So how many spells he's cast, so perhaps it's time for an Ad Nauseam, and it is. Gonna try to get a little lucky.
16 life. It appears as though he has not made a land drop yet. This is not a bad base to go off of.
Though, 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds in the graveyard. That's normally an important card when you're going off in this situation.
Yep, I mean, it's by no means a lock, but I don't mind picking this spot.
Well, let's do a little countdown here. Pluto Delta will be 0. Dark Ritual will be 1, down to 15, down to 13 from Cabal Ritual, down to 12 from Brainstorm, down to 11 from Gataxian Probe, down to 9 from Cabal Ritual, down to 8 from Carpet of Flowers. Let's make it 6 from a third Cabal Ritual. Let's make it 5 from a Duress. How low can you go?
It's a lot of mana to work with. By the looks of his graveyard, I don't think it amounts to a kill, though. He could really use a Lotus Petal, because another bottleneck he's going to encounter here is a lack of colored mana besides black.
Merriam looks like he's going to go a little bit deeper after thinking things through. 4 from a Dark Ritual. And 4 is a sweet spot here because Tendrils of Agony, Past in Flames, that'll end the game.
Yeah, he now has whammies in the deck.
Yeah. And he will stop right there. So Ad Nauseam is done resolving. Merriam is at 4. We do not believe he has played a land yet this turn. So it looks like he has a Fetch Land and Scalding Tarn to play, but that'll bring him down to 3. Gataxian Probe, if he wants to alternate cast, it will bring him down to 1. So his life total is certainly under duress at this point as well. There is the Tarn.
And it isn't as simple to say, well, I'll do what I can this turn and then try to go for it in subsequent turns, because Cody's hand can beat down.
Yeah.
There's a Vendilion Click and a Snapcaster Mage there, so. Sometimes Storm can get into spots where it can't win when it ad nauseams, but it can say, all right, I'll just go for it. I'll build up a hand I can go for it next turn.
Merriam going to sacrifice the Scalding Tarn, get himself an Underground Sea. Down to 3.
Which I suppose Ross can still do next turn, as he's not in any immediate threat of dying, but it means, you know, he's going to get clicked. He'll lose a card potentially.
It looks like it's going to be time for a Duress. Now, this is interesting because by casting Duress this turn, to me, what he's saying is I'm going to play another turn of this game.
Exactly. He's going to load up. He didn't have a kill. He's going to try to load up and be able to go off through the Vendilion Click or Snapcaster on Pyroblast next turn.
And this is a difficult skill with this deck of playing ad nauseam, going down to 3, sculpting a hand, and say, you know what, I'll try to go off again next turn. Not easy to do.
But, you know, it seems he's got a reasonable shot at it next turn. He has access to a lot of blue mana through his lands, so he gets a lot of cantrips. Mana will not be an issue. I mean, yeah. Ross has got more than enough mana to work with. And those cantrips represent a lot of shots at whatever he's missing. An Infernal Tutor, a Lion's Eye Diamond, a Past in Flames, whatever.
He's so happy with how much mana he has, he's discarding Cabal Rituals.
Yes.
And those are Cabal Rituals that will have Threshold. So he has plenty of mana. That's not the bottleneck, as you mentioned. It's just getting the game over with. That's the big question. And Shoemaker's going to sacrifice Arid Mesa on his upkeep and get a Volcanic Island out of his deck.
But with Xanted Swarm in play and no counterspells in Cody's hand, no creature removal, Ross is probably going to have a green light to just go for it next turn, with the exception of Vendilion Clique stripping a resource.
So we'll see what Shoemaker can put together here. You know, he's got to imagine he's in some trouble.
And I believe Xanted Swarm is an attack trigger. It's not a deal damage trigger.
It is an attack trigger, yes.
So even if Cody draws a counterspell, the Vendilion Clique does not allow him to circumvent the Xanted Swarm trigger.
A little spinning at the top.
I guess deal combat damage would be a weird trigger on a 0-power creature, but whatever. The point is that the Vendilion Clique doesn't defend this.
From a game design standpoint,
It would
that
be
would be
weird.
that'd be a little strange.
If you pump your guy and then hit them, then they can't counter anything.
Yeah, what do you think about that? That's just good deck building.
So, all right, that's pretty narrow,
Yeah.
but okay.
Oh, Merriam draws a card for the turn. It's another land there. It looks like a Scalding Tarn. Brainstorm in hand, among other options. And now this is a Brainstorm. Three cards potentially going to come here. Now, what's interesting, too, is that Merriam is making this play before attacking,
Yes.
not after.
Well, if Cody uses a counterspell here, it means he no longer has the mana left over to do anything with the Vendilion Clique.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little weird if Cody draws Force of Will, as it means that he can Force of Will past the Snapcaster Mage and still have access to Vendilion Clique.
Brainstorm going to resolve. Among the cards found there for Merriam, Lion's Eye Diamond. And this is going to be interesting to watch because Merriam, a very accomplished player, as we all know. Number 4 on our Season 1 leaderboard here for 2015. But a lot of the damage that he has done in the Open Series, especially in Legacy, has been with Elves. And the mechanics of that deck are very different than the mechanics of this deck.
The decks in Legacy are really hard to play across the board. And even though, you know, Magic is Magic to some degree, there's nuances and wrinkles and line of play available to all decks that you don't really notice until you have a sufficient amount of reps in. So, I mean, Ross's mechanics with Elves, for example, are significantly faster than, you know, I've never seen him contemplate a decision this long at all ever with Elves.
Yeah. He's just so well versed in the deck.
And, you know, this Brainstorm here has probably more permutations than the average Elves play, but it still does have something to do with familiarity.
Well, it does beg the question of how many times have you played against Vendilion Clique, mana open, and you know your opponent has in hand when you're playing Storm?
Exactly. And, you know, the expert Storm players know the ways to maneuver around this sort of situation. But if
I imagine if we were watching Brian Cook, for example, this would be elementary for him.
yeah, he's seen this before.
Yeah. And for Ross playing a brand new deck, we don't know if just for this tournament or perhaps just for 2015 to expand his range a little bit. It's very clear what Shoemaker does have. He has access to Snapcaster Mage, which can flash back something, be it a Pyroblast or a Brainstorm, or Vendilion Clique. Those are his options right now, and Merriam's got to worry about those and see if he can beat it. And he's going to play another spell here and Ponder. And again, he has not attacked with Xanted Swarm yet. That's the big one.
Ross might be just trying to bait Cody into the Snapcaster Mage.
And don't forget, this defending player can't play spells. You know, it's not that your spells can't be counter anything. They can't do anything.
Ross might be trying to trap here. Ross might just be saying, if Cody goes ahead and Snapcaster, Pyroblast any of these blue spells, I can kill him with the leftovers, but the Clique's a lot more complicated to win through.
For sure. So Ponder's done resolving.
Also, the other issue at this point might be Ross saying, well, I don't know if I can win through Clique this turn, so I have to leave the Xanted Swarm back on defense because I die to a Vendilion Clique attack. So there's a lot of possibilities to justify Ross's line of play right now.
Well, the Swarm does fly after all.
Yeah.
So it can block that Vendilion Clique, as you did mention. Now Merriam looks like he might be casting a carpet of flowers, and he is. The other issue or two, oddly enough, is you take a look at the texture of Ross's hand. There's not exactly a win condition hanging out over there. So that could be the other, kind of bottleneck or the hiccup here. There's a lion's eye diamond. It's very interesting. Is he making a move? Is he not making a move?
Yeah, there's a weird sort of cat and mouse thing going on here.
And now here comes Antid Swarm. So you see Merriam's hand. He does have a copy of Gataxian Probe there. Carpet of Flowers came down in main phase 1, so it'll trigger in main phase 2.
We know this because Carpet of Flowers says during your main phase.
Yes.
So it means whenever you want.
Yeah, it's very clear and concise on what that card does. Now here's Vendilion Click. And Ross is going to show him a hand here. And you see 2 Dark Rituals, a Cabal Ritual, Scalding Tarn, and the most important of the bunch, Gataxian Probe.
So I think that Ross is saying, essentially, I hope that the mystery card on top of my deck, which he gets either through the click trigger or from the Gataxian Probe, represents a kill.
Yep. Carpet of Flowers is going to get 4 mana. Now Ross is going to play a Dark Ritual. Here's another Dark. I mean, he's certainly up to something. And it could just be I need the mystery card on top of my deck to be good. Now there is Gataxian Probe. Because he's done a lot of work to set this up. So, all right, fair enough. He's going to get the job done. Ross Merriam going to win this match here.
Beautiful stuff.
Over Cody Shoemaker, 2-0. He's got a smile on his face as he tendrils for lethal to move on to 3-0.
Got it all set up with the brainstorm.
Yep.
Maneuvered very well.